Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and today's video is going to be another chatty sort of video. I like doing chatty videos because they're not like super intense or anything, and I can just relax a little bit. So I've got a drink. Feel free to get yourself a drink as well. Yeah, it's not tea, it's actually Pepsi in a mug, so that's how I roll. I'm that cool. Today's video I wanted to be a little bit about navigating social media, because I'm someone who spends a lot of time on social media and spends a lot of time online, and this has come about because of my personal circumstances. So I'm somebody who suffers with mental illness and anxiety, so I find travelling difficult. I study from home because the university setting was too challenging for me, so I'm doing my uni degree from home. So yeah, social media is sort of an outlet for me. So for people like me who use social media to connect with people, and it's one of the only ways they really do connect with people, it can be really important, but it can also be really toxic. And a lot of the time you hear people saying, okay, well just come off social media if it's toxic. And I do understand that, but sometimes it can be hard because in the generation we're in now, everyone's on it, and A, you feel sort of like you're missing out, and B, you know, is how you connect with people. Like for some people it's not as easy as, oh well, I'll see and connect with people after work or something. You know, for some of us don't really have that option, so we use our social media and our online life to create friendships and connect with people that we couldn't see otherwise. So as you know, I think social media is, I was going to say it's a positive thing, but I think it's actually a neutral thing, and it depends like how you use it. But there are lots of positives to social media, so you know, people who think social media is just a bad thing, I think maybe might be missing the great stuff about it, because we have so much education available to us so easily now. I remember it was different from when I was at school even. Like if I was doing homework when I was at school, I remember going to the library and having to look in books for stuff, which was fun, and I still would enjoy doing that. But now if I just have like a question in my head, I can just type it into the search engine and come up with loads of really interesting stuff. Also, obviously, it allows us to see different perspectives, and I think it makes us more broad-minded, or it can do, depending on our experience. But certainly, you know, you have people talking online who you wouldn't necessarily hear from in real life or associate with in real life, and it makes you think about their life and what they're going through, and it helps you empathise with them and understand them more. And again, obviously, another great thing about the internet is that you can connect with people more. It's really nice. My granddad has an iPad, and I can connect to him via iPad, and it's really great. I love it. I love especially seeing older people on like the more modern stuff, because it's something that they didn't have, which is amazing. And I kind of feel like that sometimes. I feel like that because sometimes I remember how we used to have like CD Walkmans and things like that, and but yeah, kids today, they just know so much. They know so much more than I do. So I'm trying to catch up. But I do think that being online can be quite difficult and quite toxic, especially if you're someone with mental health difficulties. And something I struggle with is there seems to be there's a very nasty tone that can happen online, and a sort of nasty atmosphere. And I think I'm certainly guilty of engaging in that in the past and being swept up in it. And there's this sort of this place where you kind of can forget that the people you're interacting with, or the people that you know you're talking about, are real people too, and they're sitting at their computer or their phone or whatever, and they're a real human with a real life. And in some ways it can be easy to forget that when you're on social media. It's so easy to fall into that idea of how can I explain this? Okay, so maybe if someone says something a bit silly, and in some instances you see people, you know, making a really big deal out of it, and it becomes like a joke, and it goes around, and it's like, oh, hilarious, like we got that person, that's great. And it can be funny, but at the same time you've got to think about the impact on the person. And I think it's really easy to fall into that, because I still remember, I am haunted by one question I got on Tumblr, and it was a while ago. It was when I was fairly new on Tumblr, and I got an ask, which was a question which was kind of biphobic, but the more I think about it, the tone of it wasn't nasty in tone. It was a person who was ignorant and who wasn't educated, but they weren't rude to me, and they were asking a question. And I always remember, this haunts me right now, like to this day it really haunts me. And I remember I posted their ask. They were anonymous, by the way. I wasn't, you know, it wasn't like a person that people would go after. And I remember putting like a reaction image, and I think it said something like, admitting you're an asshole is the first step. And at the time it was like, oh, that's so funny, and people were reblogging it like, yeah, you fight that biphobia. And although I completely like, yeah, we should fight those isms, absolutely, I think about it a lot now because my approach has changed, and I think about how I turned that into something, well, basically I wasted an opportunity for learning, and I might have pushed that person away. And I'm not saying it's anyone's duty to educate at all, it's just the way I go about things personally is that's how I want to do things. If something's openly hostile, then I'm not going to waste my time on it. But if it's someone genuine, then I just feel like, for me personally, if I can help that person come to a better understanding somehow, then I should do that. And that really does haunt me. And it's silly because it wasn't even that bad, but it still does, and it reminds me that it's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking, oh yeah, I got one over on someone, I made a funny joke, hilarious, and actually there's someone on the other side of that. And you see that a lot online, so it's a strange experience being a YouTuber, because some people refer to me as being a public figure and therefore fair game to be really awful about. And it's odd because, like I've said this before, but I'm just someone who makes videos in my bedroom, and I started doing this because my mental health was poor and I couldn't go out, and it's really helped me with my mental health and just me as a person, and like I was really lost. I was a really lost person, I didn't know who I was, and I'm starting to sort of, I feel so much better now, and I think YouTube is actually a huge part of that. But you get people being so nasty, you know, people who actually hate you and send you abuse, and they have this sort of stereotype caricature of you, and because of that they hate you and they see you more as a figurehead of a something, of a movement. So for example, people who hate feminism can often see me and think, oh, she represents feminism, you know, I'm going to say the most dreadful things, and they don't think about the fact that I'm a person. I'm just a person, you know, making videos, and I try to be respectful. And like I say, like in the past, there's instances I think of and I think, oh god, I could have dealt with that better. But like now, and in my like recent YouTube and internet, I want to be that person that people feel like they can have opinions and talk about those in my comment section. It's so important to me that my channel feels like a place where people can speak. Obviously that doesn't mean that abuse is okay, like they're completely different things, but if there's an opportunity for education, I want my channel to be that place. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to provide that place, because people have a right to react to things how they want, but just for what I'm trying to do, I guess I think about things sometimes and I think like, what am I trying to do here? This was a turning point for me a while ago. I thought, what was I trying to do? Was I trying to boost my own ego and be like, oh haha, how great, you know, I'm slapping people down? And in some ways, like, if they're really awful bigots, then yeah, that is a good thing, because awful bigotry should not be tolerated. But that's not what I want to be. And when I think about what I want this channel to be and why I made it, that's not it, and that's not me. So if I ever catch myself doing that, I catch myself sometimes being petty, and I catch myself thinking, oh, I could say something really sarky and make a joke out of that and make this person feel really small. And I think that's human nature. I really do. But I don't do it. And if I ever catch myself doing that, I feel so ashamed of myself, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want that to be me. I think there's this tendency, I was talking about this bit before and I kind of went off on a tangent, but to see people as representatives of a something. And for example, let's talk about something I've spoken about before, is Lacey Green, and you know the feminist maybe you don't, but there's like a feminist argument about Lacey Green. She sort of shifted her position and she said things which some people didn't agree with and could be seen as not great. But I do think there was a level of, you know, Lacey Green is over, Lacey Green is gone, instead of, this is what Lacey Green said, this is why this doesn't make any sense, this is why I don't support it. And I don't want to frame that like the criticism of Lacey Green was abusive and horrible, because although some of it was, like, there was so much crit, like genuine, like, here's a different opinion that was really good, but it's just an example of how online things become really black and white, and suddenly we hate this person now, but we love this person, and then they said this, and then suddenly we hate them. And I feel like I'm guilty of this too, because, like, for example, when I think about, like, certain YouTubers and certain people, like, aside from cases like Donald Trump, for example, like, when I'm talking about, like, other YouTubers and other internet people, sometimes it can be so easy to just see yourselves as black and white, and, oh, look, that's the baddie, and I'm the goodie, and even if that's the case, that's a person, and what's your point? What are you trying to do? And what I'm trying to do is put my point of view out there in a respectful way. And now I feel like I'm veering into tone policing, and I don't mean this to tone police other people. I'm simply talking about like myself and my aim. I'm not saying that people can't be really angry and really sarcastic, and like sometimes it really does merit that, like I do completely agree. But just for myself and my own health as a person, I just feel like I need to be different to that. I'll bring this slightly into the your favourite's problematic thing actually, which I've done a video about before, and I actually think like the idea of seeing that, oh look, the people you look up to, you know, this is what they've done or whatever, they're not perfect, you know, you should never put someone you admire, like you don't put them on a pedestal and think they're perfect, because that's really dangerous in every sense. You know, you need to understand that everyone's flawed. And in some instances, you know, if someone, like I've said before, if that person's a murderer, you know, obviously they're not going to be your fave anymore. But in some cases, I feel like there's this level of anger and people wanting to put themselves in the right so much that you see people being torn down for things which actually aren't that bad, which really aren't that bad. And I see sometimes like this is a weird one to talk about as well, because I don't want it to come across like I'm anti-call out, because I'm not, I'm pro. But it depends on the thing. It depends on the thing. Like, for example, you see someone being completely dragged for a tweet they made like 4 years ago or something. And you look at the tweet and you look at the person now and you think, well, obviously this person has changed. They didn't realise the harm. And I think if that person has changed and they've apologised, I feel like it's just bad. In what I'm for, and you know, social justice and that kind of stuff, I need to be more forgiving as a person, and I feel like it is really unhealthy to see things in that black and white, because people can be good, well-intentioned people and they can make a mistake. But it really bothers me, like sometimes you see online, you see something and it says something like a call out post for so-and-so blogger, they said this at such and such time, and loads and loads of people, you know, just reblog it unthinkingly, and then you click on it and you look into it and you realise that a lot of it's been really fabricated, and then you think, wow, I mean, people are really susceptible to that kind of thing. And that's why in my personal life and the way I go about things now, I'm always asking myself, I'm saying to myself, we all want to think that we're like great and in the right, but sometimes I just have to ask myself, you know, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is it going to help in any way? Am I just doing this to feel and look good? You know, and that can be hard. I have borderline personality disorder, so I can really struggle with a thing called splitting, and like basically it's like black and white thinking. So I used to, when I was younger, be really like black and white with my thoughts, and as I've got older and as I've got, you know, used to having BPD and dealing with that, I now see the shades of grey in the middle, and that is extremely helpful. Some of this black and white stuff online just is toxic, and it's really, really bad. And again, I think it all comes down to that idea of almost not seeing that person as another person, you know? Seeing them as a representative, or perhaps making them into the villain that you want them to be in order to fight that thing. And I don't know if I put that right, but I always ask myself, and I see this sometimes, and I think, I hate bullying. I hate bullying in every form, and I've been bullied before. When I was at school, I got bullied for a while, and yeah, it wasn't very nice. I was a kid with like mental health difficulties, and I had poor attendance, and yeah, it was tough for a while. So I know how that feels, how bullying feels, and I just can't condone bullying in any sense. And sometimes I see people bullying in the name of social justice or a cause, and it makes me angry, because what it does is it enables this righteous good cause to be tainted by that, and it allows people that are on the other side and who are in the wrong and who are bigoted and nasty, it allows them to just discard it by saying, oh look, it's just, you know, you're just bullying now, you're just like a group that's bullying. And it's not going to get anywhere, is it? Because nobody's going to listen, and it just it makes everything look so bad. And I feel like if you're in the right, then bullying is just, I don't even know why this is a thing that I have to talk about really, but it is something that happens online a lot. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand the bullying mentality. It upsets me wherever I see it, and it's something I'm really, really sensitive to. Like I said, I'm a sensitive person. I've got mental illness myself. I don't know why, you know that anyway. Why am I talking like I don't know you and you don't know me? We know each other very well. But I can't stand it. It hurts too much just to think, because we don't know what other people are going through. This is another thing about being online. It's easy for us to be flippant, you know, and to make like jokes at people's expense. And it's so common for that to be a thing that happens, but I'm someone with mental illness, and I go online as an escape, and I know what it feels like to be really struggling and, you know, to have something really knock you. And we don't know what people are going through in their personal lives, so just always be kind. Always be kind and always be respectful. And I'm not saying, like, in any way, I don't want anyone to interpret this as me saying don't call stuff out and don't be like really stern on certain things, because I'm really pro that. I'm just saying that it has to be done respectfully and kindly and civilly, and not in a way which is bullying. We can't, for me, I don't want to descend to that level. I don't want to go there, and I don't want to be the person that knocks somebody over the edge. I really don't want to be that person, and this is going to get a bit deep here, but I think a lot about forgiveness and growth in life, because I think a lot about my life, and I feel like I was a completely different person years ago. I wasn't coping with my mental health issues, and I was in a bad situation, and my life was a complete mess, and it made me like put up a shell, and I was so different. And I feel like I have changed and grown so much. So much. And I also know that, you know, there are opinions I've held in the past which were never ill-intentioned. They were never, you know, oh, I want to be really awful to people or anything like that. But they're opinions which came from society and that were bigoted. But I never will have done that with I never did that with any ill intent, you know? And I moved on and I grew, and I look back and I think, oh God. But I also have to acknowledge that I have changed, and other people have to have that right. So it would be hypocritical of me to sort of, you know, cut someone off and be like, oh, you know, you're just an evil person because you've said that, when I myself have changed so much. It's like, I'm not religious, but let he who is without sin cast the first stone, and that means a lot to me as a person and how I go about life, you know, as I get older, because I've been offered forgiveness and I've been given the opportunity to change, and people have educated me and made me feel really empowered, and they've made me kinder people. People have shown me kindness and love and made me kinder and show more love. And it's like a chain, and it's brilliant. So I want to be a person that can do that, and can make someone change their opinion on something, and be kinder to people and be nicer to people, and learn. And I want to learn from other people. I don't want to be that other sort of person. I don't want to be that. I'd be ashamed to be that. I suppose the way I think about it is I have to be really mindful, because I've got a platform, and it's weird because I forget sometimes, because I'm just making videos in my bedroom, and, you know, I have no social life or anything like that, and I just make these videos and it helps me cope with stuff, and it's nice to chat to you guys. But I do have like a platform, and I want my platform to be loving and uplifting, and a place where people feel safe, and where people feel like they can have genuine discussions, genuine talks, people who want to learn and want to understand more. And I want like empathy and compassion to be the most important thing. And also I talk about mental health, so it's so important that people feel like this is a space where they can talk about that stuff. And sometimes I get people messaging me who are struggling with their mental health, and, you know, they've said, you know, they really like the attitude of the channel and the people on it, basically you guys who are part of, you know, the community that, you know, comment on videos and things, are such lovely, broad-minded, just kind people, and the kindness I see you show makes me feel so proud. And that's the space I want, because I want people to get better. I want people to feel safe and to be kind, and just kindness is the most important thing in the world to me, because it's everything. I needed kindness before, and when I didn't get kindness, it made me a worse person. I became a worse person when I didn't have kindness and I felt alone and lost. And then people showed me kindness in a way through, and I became a kinder person. it spreads. So yeah, I love you loads. This probably made no sense because it's just a chat about stuff, but yeah, okay. And we can talk about it in the comment section if you like, if you want anything clarified. Like, I don't know, I forget again, like I forget about the platform, so sometimes I say stuff and people say, oh, do you mean this? And I feel like, oh god, I should have clarified that better, because I forget I'm not just like chatting, although I am. So yeah, I love you loads, and just be kind and be mindful of other people, and you don't know their situation, so it's always better to be kind and sincere and genuine if you can. Yeah, alright, I love you loads, and I'll see you really, really soon. Hope you're doing okay. Okay, bye!